feminine entity caught me, and as I'm falling, it started to explain things like, I can't remember what to explain because it was kind of like a dream where I don't remember parts of it, but I ended up in this sort of like monastery type situation. It was like this, like Doctor Strange, that outdoor monastery where they're all training.
Yeah.
And there were a variety of humanoid entities there. I remember Amazonian women that were like 10 feet tall. And these were all people that were training for different things. Yeah, that was really interesting. That was sort of an experience I had. Yeah, where instead of like vibrating out or whatever, I went like, it's like I shrunk to quantum or something. Like it was falling.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying it was an interesting experience. I remember asking that feminine entity something about, because like at that time, and this was a couple years ago, every month or two, I would experience a night where I got no sleep, but it was like something dark was just like messing with me. And I remember asking her that, like, what is the deal with that? And she told me that was the brain cleaning out the cobwebs. That was like a once every couple of month process needed to sort of like clean things out of the head.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had those
defrag
in a long time. Yeah. I haven't had that sort of restless night experience in a solid year and a half. But I mean, I've made a lot of progress in terms of, like I said, I'm at the point where to me, the darkness is the true light and the light is the darkness. So I'm more vastly interested in anything darkness related.
Well, this is it, brother. Sorry, my bloody screen went off then.
That's
what you were just saying there about the quantum, when I chatted to Kalindi EE, rest in peace, he's died recently, unfortunately. He wasn't very old. He was talking about they were rediscovering old Atlantean technology with the crystal balls as forms of communication, also forms of recording experiences when they go elsewhere and bring it back. And also about the quantum thing, about shrinking down to the quantum level to go into certain experiences, which is what you basically just said. That's basically what he was saying. And it's all in the Easter eggs, isn't it?
I mean,
Ant-Man and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that was how multidimensional entities that have certain technologies, I've heard that's how they travel. They travel within the quantum. They utilize entanglement. They go from one particle to another particle. There's scientists like Nassim Haramein that come out, have great documentaries, and one of them called The Black Hole, he talks about how within every atom, within every cell, there's a black hole. And, that black hole is sort of like the entry exit point into empty space or the ether, or basically everything beyond this dimension. So it makes sense that, maybe that is how they travel. Maybe that's how they wormhole or they portal around from one particle to another. They utilize entanglement. And what we've learned with entanglement is distance and time are irrelevant. It can be, one particle can communicate with another particle a million miles away in real time. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I dare say we'll find it on the patent website. They've no doubt got a little watch probably. They just go, and like the Ant-Man. Did you ever hear anything about the Hilton hotels, certain rooms in the Hilton hotels as jump rooms? Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't, but that would not at all surprise me. That actually probably makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've heard of things like Obama, in the 80s, doing something with Mars and portaling to and back from Mars through some kind of wormhole. Again, not at all a shocker. I mean, you've got Project Pegasus from the CIA, which back in I think it was the 70s, talked about how they basically mastered teleportation and wormholes and things like that. I mean, wouldn't make sense that Hilton, one of the, super rich elites, probably,
set up shop.
That's how they get to and from certain dimensions. Yeah, exactly. It would not surprise me.
Yes, it's interesting stuff. Do you Did any of the crystal balls, it sounds a bit mad when you say crystal, palantirs is what they call them, which is a bit more, sound a bit less woo-woo, but yeah, palantirs. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's dotted all throughout sci-fi and fantasy, this kind of crystal ball palantir. And yeah, there's a lot more to it. I haven't looked any further deeply into it. I should really probably reach out and try and connect with some of his people and see if they're still carrying on the good work, because yeah, he was kind of the figurehead, I think, of what they were doing. Are you familiar with him, Kalindi?
Not really, no.
Yeah, they were taking like 40 grams dried mushroom doses. It's like, that's pretty heroic.
That's a lot.
You talk, yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is it. And I had a couple of people in the comments saying that they were done like 20, 25, 30, and they were just saying, yeah, if you build up, it's literally, there's no limit to how deep you can go, essentially. And it's like, this Terence McKenna. Crazy. Terence McKenna was connected to the Esalen Institute. There's a great little documentary, a great little video by a chap called Matthew North. It's still on YouTube, the Joe Rogan conspiracy, the Esalen Institute, MK Ultra and all that. And yeah, they were all part of it. They were all part of the Information Asset Network over there. And it's all this, like the controlled awakening we're seeing now through the QAnon thing, right? That was a kind of longer term controlled introduction to the entheogens. They knew it was going to break out. As soon as they started making it mainstream in the chemical companies, they knew it was going to break out. So they knew they had to prepare for that. And that's what they did. They used these people to create them. Like, I love Terence McKenna. I've read I read so many books. But when you see it, you see, oh yeah, it was another controlled. Whereas if you think about it, left to our own devices to explore our own consciousnesses within a safe, productive, controlled environment. God, what could we be doing? What are certain groups doing? You know, your Googles and I say this all the time, your Googles and your Facebooks with their black projects, and you know, it's all medically supervised, I'm sure. I bet they're taking phenomenal amounts of entheogens and doing all sorts. So yeah, that's what I mean. It was a control. So, you know, this whole notion of 5 grams being a heroic dose, the old Terence McKenna thing. Well, yeah, you can go deep, but you know, does that just take you to a certain level of these kind of entities and stuff you talk about, these egregores, as they're called as well, you know? And the deeper you go,
I don't know, but now I want to try it. I mean, I think the most I've done was like 4 grams. I did closer to 5. I mean, I've had experiences just with that amount where I've seen entities and, you know, talked with things outside of this dimension. And, you know, I had one mushroom experience I did with a buddy of mine, and we were sitting in the garage, and he did this thing where he just kind of like went forward or something. He like, I don't remember why he did it. He just like moved forward like this. And when he did it, because I was sitting on the side of him, I saw this xylophone effect where I saw, it must have been 50 different people, and they were so detailed and defined. I know I saw all his past lives.
Oh, cool. That's amazing.
I mean, he's a black guy now, but I saw old, young, male, female, that's every race, all of it. It was crazy. I even saw Native American with headdresses, but it was just this quick, brief xylophone effect of, you know, 50 things, like a folding. Oh, it was crazy.
Do you think? I think of that. Sorry, go on. Carry on.
I was going to say, I've had experiences like that. I've had psychic experiences where I can see what people are thinking. You know, we would play games where think of a color, and then it's like in the brain, I could see the color moving around, like it was moving through neural connections or something, and it became more and more defined the more they thought about it. So yeah, I mean, I've had stuff like that, but I can only imagine 50 grams. I mean, hey, I'm always down to experiment with anything.
This is it, brother. This is it. Fortune favors the brave, as they say, you know. But you do also have to factor in fragile psychology. I think personally, I've had some experiences where paranoia has massively affected the experience. So you've got to be very careful. I don't want anyone to think that we're encouraging. I don't. It's something to be taken lightly, you know, whatsoever.
Yeah, none of that stuff ever happens to me with mushrooms. But I mean, I don't, you know, I treat mushrooms with respect. You know, I spend a couple of days, you know, eating right, plant-based, working out, I go into it with the right mindset. I meditate beforehand. I never get sick. I never puke. None of that stuff ever happens to me. And I've never had, the thing with the paranoia is, and this is what I explain to people, what mushrooms do is they are a very powerful form of detoxing, not just physically, but mentally. So people, if you're eating McDonald's and then you go and you take mushrooms, you're going to puke or you're going to shit yourself because mushrooms are just cleaning you out, but they also clean you out mentally.
Yeah.
If you are harboring anything in your brain, not dealing with something, afraid of something, upset about something, mushrooms will bring that right to the surface and put it right in your face. Yeah. So, the bad trip thing makes sense. And I've had experiences with mushrooms back when I was a little inexperienced where that would happen to me. But, I looked at it as a learning experience. This is, now I have to deal with this. What is making me feel this way? Where is it coming from? It was always a very healing process because I would always find a way to kind of figure it out and then just release it like a shadow hook.
And did you kind of come to all that on your own, Justin? Just your own, taking the mushrooms, subsequent, just your own head, your own thinking, or any advice and guidance? Because I think a lot of people just come to a lot of these things on their own, without a mentor, is what I'm getting at. Some people have mentors to go, right, this is, these are the experiences of life that are available to you. Allow me to do something. Most of the time, it's just random occurrences and just like, oh, we've got some mushrooms. Do you want something? Like, oh, yeah, cool. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Oh, I totally understand. Yeah. No, the best advice I can give is, for me, what started me down the rabbit hole initially was food and Monsanto and understanding food, nutrition, and, your body is just a collection of chemicals. It's just, if you are ingesting the right chemicals, you are what you eat. In 2 weeks, you're gonna have a completely new tongue. And, the adult human body, every couple of years is going to completely replace itself, and it's going to replace itself with what the building material that you give it, what you eat, drink, and breathe. I guess as since I've over the last few years have really gotten serious about what I'm eating, drinking, and breathing, other than alcohol. It's kind of by this point I have a much stronger foundation or base. But I guess the advice I give to people going into this thing is, like with my brother is very unhealthy. Unfortunately, he doesn't eat right. He drinks a lot of soda. He's overweight, deals with migraines. So, obviously one of the things I'm going to get him to start doing is microdosing. But before we did the trip, for the whole day and the night before, I told him he couldn't have any kind of animal products, stick to plant-based only. And then right before, like a half hour before we did it, I made this super crazy shake, like hemp protein, hemp seeds. I put diatomaceous earth in there. I'm a water Nazi, so I structure my water.
That's talk us through that, topic. Justin. Just quickly, how you do that? What you do to structure your water?
What do I do to structure it?
Yeah.
Well, first off, I get I get water that has at least gone through something like reverse osmosis or some kind of distillation process to where it's removed itself of, the stuff that's coming out of the sky and fluoride and things of that nature. I then, I have it in a container here. There it is right there. It's got words written on the side here, and it says love, gratitude, joy, peace, trust. And, if anybody's familiar with Masaru Emoto's work on water and what he discovered, how water can capture thoughts and emotions and structure itself accordingly, it can also understand the written human language. And there's been, elementary schools where they performed experiments where they wrote, negative words on one jar of water and positive words on another. And then the plants, either grew from them, you know what I mean? Like the plants with the fear-based water didn't grow.
Anyone can do it with rice, can't they? Anyone can do that experiment themselves at home with rice, and you'll see for yourself.
On top of this thing, I have this. This is an organite pyramid.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. And then I have my bracelet. My bracelet's got a bunch of crystals and stuff in it. I put it on there just to kind of charge up from the organite. But this organite pyramid, Organites, again, another complicated topic. It was, that material developed by Wilhelm Reich, former Nazi scientist. Basically, in simple terms, Organite is a frequency neutralizer / amplifier. That's in simple terms. That's its basic explanation. But this was made too by a girl I know in Texas, and she has mastered the art of making these things. And
give her a shout out, bro. Give her a shout out.
Oh, it's Daydream Organite if you want to look for her Facebook group. And she doesn't, have like a page where she just like sells things. She just announces a sale. Hey, this Wednesday, 6:00. And then she'll post whatever she makes. And then the first person to bid, hey, I want that, they get it. So you got to be on it with getting these things. These things are tough to get. And she has, within a few months, built already, like these things get sold in seconds. But she goes into her process of how she makes these things. It's very important when you make Organite, having the right intention, using the right materials. And she's mastered all that. So these things are legit. So I have this on top of my water. That's another thing I do. And then my water bottle, this bad boy right here, on the bottom, it's got this combination of crystals, gems, all kinds of stuff. I got this from a website called Vibes Up. I don't know anybody there. It's not like I have no stake in this, so it's not like I own stock or anything. Vibes Up. I just got my water bottle from there, and I've done a little experiments myself. I have a microscope, and I've taken water samples, of what rainwater looks like, and tap water, and structured water, bottled water, and I've looked at all these things, and this water bottle does make, even furthers the structuring of what, this already is pretty good, but this just takes it up another notch. So that's really the only water I'll drink. I refuse to drink any other water. I don't know. I tried. Like I said, I was just visiting my brother and sister in Portland. They claim they have the best tap water ever, no fluoride in it. So I tried it, and right away I was like, this tastes like metal. Yeah, I just can't do it.
Yeah, the top.
Oh, it's bad. Like I had Salt Lake City in Utah. I had their water tested when I lived there, and 8% of Salt Lake City tap water is Prozac. Because Prozac is the main ingredient in pretty much every pharmaceutical. So, people flushing down their meds leads to Prozac being in the water.
And just peeing them out as well, yeah. The metabolites.
So, with that type of shake, and I would put in, getting back to that, I have this like green powder that has a lot of probiotics and veggies and fruits, just stuff like that. I made like a super fruit veggie protein shake. Get the right material in you, and the mushrooms will respond accordingly. And he, like I said, he didn't take enough to really, it was his first time. But the good thing about it is he's now open to it, and he's now open to microdosing, which I'm hoping to do to get him off his meds, to get him off soda, because he's getting these migraines. And, studies have shown with mushrooms that these things repair neurological connections. They help to cure things like PTSD, anxiety, and depression. They even cause gray matter to grow. I mean, there are multiple studies that show this stuff. So microdosing is I think, I would highly recommend.
Yes, thank you, brother. Funny you should say, when we went to see Jim Fadiman in the Oxford University for the Psychedelic Society, he was talking about a friend of his who had a stroke. He was big in the music game, apparently, would be out and about all the time, constantly flying around, traveling, doing the music business, and he had a stroke. He could barely walk, had a stick, and then he started microdosing. And then they were already shocked he went on his first trip because they never thought he'd go on a trip again. And he went on a trip on his own. And then, I think it was, don't quote me, but let's say like a few months later, and he was able to walk without his stick and was, back to really good health. So, yeah, it can work for so many different things. And that's, until we're allowed to explore freely, it's all being suppressed from us, isn't it? Bastards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily in the United States, it's medicinally at least starting to get legalized. I'm noticing like
there's a guy in Canada who's actually just doing it. Yeah, I forget his name. I'll have to find the link. But there's a company in Canada openly selling microdoses on the internet. So we're leading in the right direction, I think. But